Music. Yeah.
All right, Milsurp Garage. What do we have here? Two books by Walter Smith. These are NRA books. I figured I'd do a video on these because they are my favorite gun-related books that there are. Well, originally it was just book. It was just this one. We're going to take a look at this one first. Book videos do absolutely horrible on YouTube, but I don't care. I'm going to use this one just to prop up the cover as we go. These things are old. These NRA is the small book of the book of small arms is what they're both called, and there's a volume 1 and a 2, as you can see. Pistols, revolvers, and rifles. So take the pistols book first. These are both first printings. This one is copyright 1946. Printed and bound in the USA, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. So what's cool about these books? Why do I love these specifically? Well, 1946 and after would kind of be like where the collecting part of my interest kind of starts to wane. I've shown you plenty of firearms, don't get me wrong, that are in the 70s, 80s, 90s, even, modern stuff. But as far as history goes, like if I'm reading a book, if I'm going to pull out a book that's not so much going to be just for knowledge, let's say, but just for historical reading and entertainment, I want to read about old stuff. And if you get a book that the copyright is 1946, that's what's going to happen. You're going to have no choice but to have stuff from at least that time, that period and back, right? Just makes sense. So what do I like about this book? First, it starts with just the evolution of the handgun period. And then it just moves into, breaks it down by caliber, which is what I like. So it actually starts off with this 3mm super rare. Could you imagine? Look at the 3mm even compared to a 22. That's like a 22 long rifle. Look at the 3mm compared to that. It was almost like a, what do they call this thing? It's just like a micro cartridge. It's almost like it's a, like it's a novelty or something. But there was a German gun. It's called a Colibri. Interesting. There was apparently a 4mm 4.25 Lilliput, not to be confused with the 25 caliber Lilliput. There was a 4.25 weird round, but it doesn't take long to move into like the 22 BBs, which were bullet breech, and the CBs, which were they were different. The CBs were called conical bullets. Is what CB stood for. BB was bulleted breech. And the CBs, that's where you can still get those things. CCI still makes them. And then, it moves into 22 short. And then we're off. We're into all through. Look at all the information just on 22s. It's insane. Look at this thing. Breaks open, like sideways swing to the barrel. So, and then that's how it works. It goes up through caliber. So what I like about it is, I'm into these 25s. So, man, there's just a super amount of information. See, back in 1946, these things were still super popular. You know, so not so much now. They get a lot of, now they're definitely just considered collector pistols, you know what I mean? So yeah, from the 25 to 32, there's 32 ACP, so there's another tons of guns that are in my collection. And you see all these beautiful drawings that they do here, this artwork. These aren't pictures, this is like artwork. Look at that, how gorgeous these are. These pictures, amazing, huh? So yeah, it works its way up through the calibers, and tons of useful information and cool reading. High quality gloss pages through the 45. Now here's what's cool. Look, they break down even. There's like pictures. Look at this huge amount of. I mean, it's just page after page. Look at them, of all these like pocket guns. And people are like, you know, like, well, you have a lot of those pocket guns. Look at what was available. It's insanity. Look at them all. And I've never seen anything like that. The amount of, like, you know, just research material just on those here is amazing. Then you just move into 32s, and even that's insane. The amount of 32 caliber guns. And all the way through and there's a really cool glossary here in the back. And then an index that's pretty useful, a large index that's really can direct you to whatever you were looking for in the book. So that's the one for pistols. I had this originally, and then I think actually if you go back in my videos, I show like a gun show book buying frenzy I went on, where I might show that I bought this one. And then after looking into it, I saw that there was another one, and I poked around, found this one on eBay. So I wanted to get one that was similar, like another first printing. Look at this, how cool this is. Here's a picture right here at the beginning of the book that shows the Milsurp manuscript, which shows the earliest authenticated picture of a weapon using gunpowder, 1326 AD. See that guy right there? He's like setting off that thing that looks like a big vase with this projectile stuck in it, whatever. Supposedly that's the first ever authenticated gun being shown. 1948 is the copyright for this guy. Now this one, it's arranged a little differently. It talks about the evolution of shoulder arms and the history, of course, starting from the beginning. Not stuff that I haven't seen before in other books, but I like the way these guys break it down here. You know, the NRA and this Walter Smith here, the NRA definitely wanted quality work here, and it shows. So this is a very interesting history all the way into, from the beginnings into European stuff, American stuff, the different types of actions it has here. And then, of course, when they're saying modern now, we're moving into, like, you know, the 40s. You know what I mean? So that's what's cool, is like what they're considering modern information is right where my collector target goes. So now, as you see now, they do it differently here. They do it by country, which I've seen a lot of books break it down like that before also. But a lot of times the books are more modern. So if I go, say I'm looking at Austria, and obviously the M95 is going to be what I really want to see a lot of information on. There'll be like one page on the M95. Then I'll move into all newer Austrian stuff. But these guys here, they don't have much chance. This book was from 1948. I mean, where are you going to go from there? It's like everything in here is going to be all older Austrian stuff that I love and want to look at, you know. Here's Belgium, and then, you know, we're off. And same thing here, beautiful photos, tons of information, lots of detailed stuff specific to these guns that interest people like me and you. And then it actually goes into, you know, just breaking down each individual different model and giving a very comprehensive, like, list of its you know, specifics here. breaking it down. Then it shows the different cartridges, which is another interesting aspect here, that it shows the head stamps and the sizes relative to each other of the different cartridges. That I kind of liked. Now there's one thing back here that's kind of cool. Then it moves into another glossary here. But for some reason, just right after the glossary, it just starts moving into like, it just moves into an appendix where it shows a couple of weird things. Like it has a couple of double-barreled, three-barreled rifles, paradox guns, rifled shotgun slugs. Then there's this weird history here, like it looks like it's like a Mauser history. Is that what it is? Yeah, the rifles of Peter Paul Mauser, and it's like this long history, year by year, of Mauser stuff, Mannlicher stuff. You know, German small arms manufacturers codes. Where this comes from, all of a sudden, just thrown in there. But here's something that I thought would be really cool, and you'd have to go back and check one of my other videos on my Remington 550. All right, go back and check that video, because there's this this floating chamber there, right? So get my information on my gun. My gun, the manufacturing date that I came up with was 1951. However, they made these as a Model 550 from 41 to 46 that had dual extractors, and from 46 to 1970, they were called 550-1s. I guess one for one extractor. They changed the extractors. So mine had a single extractor, so it was from 46 to 70, and I dated it around 51. Since this book is from 48, they could have been talking about either one. They're mentioning the 550 here, but it could have been either one, because both of them have this floating chamber. So they talk about this guy, David Williams, who invented it. I don't even have that written down here. I don't even know if in the video I even said who invented the gun, or I even knew. But here you go. Here's the information. And I never really had a very detailed diagram of exactly how it worked. But here we go. I mean, check this out. This is pretty cool. It shows how the 22 short case fits perfectly in that chamber, and it doesn't cover up that opening there, and at how the longer brass from the long rifles cover that there. And it's just, this is a very great explanation of how it works and everything like that. Of all things that could be, there's all those odd things out there in rifle land, this is the one thing, this Williams floating chamber. I guess this was new around 1948. This was a very big thing. And maybe in the NRA's opinion, this was going to take off and be a big thing. But turns out it gets dirty really quick, especially with 22s. And I guess it never really went anywhere. But I just thought that this would be a cool thing to check out and look at if you had seen that video before and you were interested, or if you want to go back and check it out. And yeah, so like I said, at the end here, there's just this interesting bit of stuff just thrown in. Then another index, and there we go. So that is my pair of NRA Book of Small Arms, and you could check on eBay or whatever. You see them every once in a while. You see these both together. My opinion is to get these older ones, just because it's cool to have the older ones. But there are reprints, you know, so maybe there's extra stuff in the reprints that you would want to check out. But I like it old school. I love the feel of these covers, and I just love the way these are, the way they even feel when you read them. And the thing about books, you know, a lot of people go like, well, you know, books are like done already. I mean, everything's online. You don't need, who needs books anymore? It's like an antiquated thing. You just tons, any information I need to see, I could just go online. Why would I even want to pay for books? But the thing about a book is that online, sure, all the information is there, right at your fingertips. You're holding your phone in your hand, and you have like all the libraries, every book ever written is all sitting right there in your hand. But what do you look at? What do you read? Who guides you? Who hands you the information? The information has to be funneled to you somehow. And the cool thing about these books is that like the information that this author wanted to impart to you, it's right here. This is it right here. And then if you want to expand on it, you can. If you want to look at something and there's one specific thing that you want more information on, in my opinion, then the internet comes in handy. But it's still nice to just pick up one single book, and the order that the information, the author wanted to give you the information is here. The method that it's delivered is all here, and the way he wanted to give it to you. You know what I mean? With the pictures right there. I mean, there's something to be said for that. I don't think books are gone yet. They still definitely have their place in education. You know what I mean? So that's these books. Check them out. You could, like I said, you could get these older ones like this. I've seen sets of them together. But just be careful, shop around, because I've seen both books are available for like $175, and then I've seen both books available for $30 with free shipping. So they're just all over the place for like absolutely no reason. This one, I got in like a group of other books where I might have only paid a couple of bucks for it. Because when I go to my book guy that I see at the gun shows, it's like I'll just grab like 30 books and he'll just be like, I don't know, give me $40, you know, whatever it is. Like it doesn't really come out to much per book. But then this one I got on eBay, and I looked around. Like I said, I seen it real expensive, but I just found one guy selling one for like $25 with free shipping, and I was like, there you go. So y'all hang in there, all right? Get yourself some books like this, have them shipped to the house, and sit back and read. Get a couple of months worth of books, and keep yourself healthy and stay inside. This will all be over soon. And if you're watching this years from now and you have no idea what I'm talking about, even better. We're going to get through this. And we got a couple of more firearms videos on the way. Just wanted to break it up with some literature. And couldn't resist the Charles Bronson intro. I'm going to throw in something about Death. I saw Death Wish a few weeks ago, and it's just been on my head. But if anybody remembers, that video is from the last scene in Death Wish. I remember seeing that movie. 1974, that movie came out, and I remember seeing it as a kid. That was back in the day when your parents would actually go to the movies and take you as a 8-year-old kid or something like that to go see an R-rated movie. Those were the days. But I remember Death Wish well. I remember that last scene, and that definitely left an impression. That Charles Bronson look right there definitely left an impression on me. I'm going to throw in some original Death Wish movie pictures here at the end for you. Thanks to Beer Zerker on the Beer Zerker 80 channel for the music. And catch up with y'all next time. See you later.
Yes.